The little girl's voice cut through the parking lot like a siren. "Don't start the cars, don't start the cars." 6 men from the Caruso family turned, dark suits impeccable under the California sun as a 5-year-old in oversized sneakers pointed frantically toward their vehicles. Behind her, an exhausted-looking woman froze in horror. You don't shout at Mafia men. Everyone knows that. But the child had seen something. A man crouching by the cars, something metallic glinting in his hand. When they checked, their blood ran cold. Explosive devices planted under 3 SUVs. All would have detonated at ignition. The little girl had saved their lives. And now, someone wanted to make sure she'd regret it. The late afternoon sun beat down on Fairmount Park with that particular intensity only Southern California could deliver. In September, Sarah Mitchell sat on a weathered bench, her phone balanced on her knee as she scrolled through job listings for the 3rd time that day. At 28, she'd imagined her life would look different, more stable, less desperate. The eviction notice folded in her purse was a constant weight, a paper guillotine set to drop in 14 days. "Mama, look," 5-year-old Lily called from the playground, her dark curls bouncing as she navigated the monkey bars with determined concentration. Sarah glanced up, forced a smile, and gave her daughter a thumbs up. Lily's worn sneakers, 2 sizes too big, picked up at the Goodwill last month, made her movements clumsy, but the little girl's face radiated pure joy. Sarah returned to her phone. Waitress position, minimum wage, warehouse worker, night shift, retail associate, part-time. Nothing that would cover rent and daycare. Nothing that would dig them out of the hole her ex-husband had left them in when he disappeared 18 months ago, taking their savings and leaving behind a mountain of debt in her name. The rumble of powerful engines cut through her thoughts. Sarah's head snapped up instinctively, her mother's radar on high alert. 6 black SUVs rolled into the parking lot adjacent to the park, their polished bodies catching the sunlight like mirrors. Even from a distance, she could see the men exiting the vehicles, dark suits, rigid postures, the particular confidence of men who feared nothing. Words she couldn't quite make out, but knew meant trouble. Caruso family. Sarah's heart rate spiked. She stood immediately, calling out, "Lily, honey, time to go." Her daughter was notorious for selective hearing when she was having fun, but Sarah's tone must have registered because Lily's head turned toward her. The men from the family exited their vehicles, laughing among themselves. They didn't look particularly threatening, just middle-aged men in suits and expensive jeans, some with gray threading through their well-trimmed beards. But Sarah had grown up in Riverside. She knew the reputation, she knew the stories. 5 more minutes, Lily pleaded, hanging upside down from a bar. "Now, baby." Sarah's voice carried an edge that made Lily's face fall, but the little girl obeyed, dropping to the wood chips below and trudging toward her mother. The men had spread out across the parking lot, forming a rough circle as they talked. One of them, a massive man with a braided beard and arms covered in faded tattoos, pulled out a pack of cigarettes. Another, leaner and older, with a clean-shaven head, was pointing at something on his phone, showing it to the others. They seemed relaxed, unthreatening, just people taking a break. Sarah grabbed Lily's hand anyway, ready to guide her toward their beat-up Honda Civic parked on the opposite side of the lot. That's when she noticed the other man. He was 50 yards away, partially obscured by a cluster of eucalyptus trees at the edge of the parking area. Late 20s, maybe early 30s, wearing a plain black t-shirt and jeans. Nothing remarkable about him except for the way he kept glancing over his shoulder as he crouched beside one of the SUVs. Something in his posture triggered Sarah's alarm bells, the furtive quality of his movements, the tension in his shoulders. She slowed her pace, watching the man produce something from his pocket. Tool, knife. From this distance, she couldn't tell. He bent lower, his arm moving in quick, deliberate motions under the chassis of the vehicle near the fuel tank. "Mama, you're squeezing," Lily complained, tugging at her hand. Sarah loosened her grip but didn't let go. She should keep walking, should get Lily to the car and drive away. Whatever was happening wasn't her business, wasn't her problem. She had enough problems. But the man's behavior was wrong. Everything about it screamed wrong. He straightened suddenly, looked around again, then moved to the next SUV in line. Same crouch, same furtive glance, same quick movements. "Lily," Sarah whispered. pulling her daughter closer. "Stay right beside me." "Okay." "Why? What's wrong?" "Nothing, baby. Just stay close." They were parallel to the men now, maybe 30 feet away. The group was still absorbed in their conversation, completely unaware of the man working his way down the line of their vehicles. Sarah's mind raced. Should she shout a warning? What if she was wrong? What if he was a friend doing maintenance? But friends didn't move like that. Friends didn't keep checking over their shoulders like criminals. The man finished with the second SUV and moved to a third. This time Sarah saw the glint of metal in his hand. A cutting tool of some kind. Wire cutters, maybe. Her breath caught. This wasn't maintenance, this was sabotage. Lily suddenly pulled free from her grip and started running. Not away, but toward the men. Sarah's stomach dropped. Lily, no. But her daughter was already at the edge of the parking lot. Her small voice calling out with startling clarity. "Don't start the cars. Don't start the cars." The men turned as one. 6 pairs of eyes focusing on the tiny girl in the oversized sneakers. The massive bearded man took a step forward, his expression shifting from surprise to something softer. "Hey there, little one. What's that now?" Sarah ran after her daughter, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might crack a rib. She reached Lily and pulled her back, stammering, "I'm sorry. She didn't mean to. There's a bad man." Lily interrupted, pointing past the men toward the eucalyptus trees. "He's doing bad things to your cars. I saw him. He's putting something bad under them." The men's expressions changed instantly. The softness evaporated, replaced by something harder, more dangerous. The bald man moved first, his eyes following Lily's pointing finger. "Where?" "By the trees," Sarah heard herself say, her voice steadier than she felt. "There was a man, dark hair, black shirt. He was crouched by your cars with some kind of tool. He worked on at least 3 of them." The bearded giant was already moving, his massive frame covering ground with surprising speed. 2 others followed, spreading out as they approached the SUVs. The man by the trees must have seen them coming because suddenly he was running, sprinting toward the far end of the parking lot where a nondescript gray sedan sat with its engine running. "Check the cars," the bald man shouted. "Marcus Chase, get the plates on that car." 2 men peeled off, running toward the street as the sedan squealed out of the parking lot. The others converged on the SUVs, dropping to their knees to inspect them. Sarah clutched Lily against her legs, unsure whether to run or stay frozen. The bearded giant straightened from the first vehicle, his face dark with rage. Explosives. That son of a bitch planted bombs. He moved to the second SUV. This one too, then the third. Jesus Christ. All 3. The bald man approached Sarah and Lily slowly, his hands visible and non-threatening. But his eyes were intense, the kind of intensity that came from years of reading threats and calculating risks. "Ma'am, I need you to tell me exactly what you saw." "Everything." Sarah swallowed hard. Lily pressed against her mother's side, suddenly aware that her brave action had thrust them into something much bigger than a playground afternoon. "I saw him crouch by your cars about 5 minutes ago. He had something in his hand. Looked like wire cutters or some kind of tool. He was looking around, checking if anyone was watching. He went to 3 cars, maybe 4. Worked fast, maybe 30 seconds on each one." "Did you see his face clearly?" "Not clearly. Mid-20s to early 30s. Dark hair, short, clean-shaven, average build, nothing distinctive." The man nodded slowly, processing. Then his gaze dropped to Lily, and something in his expression gentled. He crouched down to her level, making himself smaller, less threatening. "You're a very brave little girl. What's your name?" "Lily," she whispered. "Lily? That's a pretty name." "I'm Hank." He extended a massive scarred hand. Lily looked up at Sarah, who gave a tiny nod. Lily shook his hand with both of hers. "You saved lives today, Lily. Do you understand that? If we'd started those cars without knowing the explosives were there..." He didn't finish the sentence. But Sarah's imagination filled in the blanks. Explosions, fire, bodies, death. "I just saw the bad man," Lily said softly. "Mama always says to tell the truth about bad things." Hank's weathered face broke into a genuine smile. "Your mama's a smart woman." He stood focusing on Sarah again. "We owe you both big time. You don't owe us anything. Anyone would have. No. Another man interrupted, joining them. This one was younger, maybe mid-30s, with intelligent eyes and a scar running through his left eyebrow. Most people would have walked away, didn't want to get involved. You stayed? Your daughter spoke up? That's not nothing. Sarah's hands were shaking. Adrenaline crash, probably. We should go. You have things to handle. Did you get the plates? Hank called to the two men jogging back from the street. Partial, one responded. Gray Nissan Altima California plates started with 7K something. Headed east on Van Buren. Hank pulled out his phone, already dialing. Yeah, it's me. We got a situation at Fairmount Park. Someone planted explosives under 3 of our vehicles. Need you to run a partial plate. He moved away, his voice dropping. The younger man with the scar turned to Sarah. I'm Deacon, consilero of the family. Look, I know this is intense, but we're going to need a statement from you. The cops will want to know what you saw. The police. Sarah's voice came out higher than intended. Someone tried to kill us. Yeah, the police. Deacon's expression softened at her obvious discomfort. You're not in trouble. You're a witness. A witness who saved lives. Sarah looked down at Lily, who was studying the SUVs with unabashed curiosity now that the immediate danger had passed. 14 days until eviction, a job search going nowhere, and now this. Entangled with a Mafia family and whatever violence had prompted someone to sabotage their cars. But Lily's words echoed in her mind. Mama always says to tell the truth about bad things. She taught her daughter that. And now she had to live it. Okay, Sarah said quietly. We'll stay. We'll tell them what we saw. Hank returned, sliding his phone into his pocket. Cops are on the way. 10 minutes out. He studied Sarah with those calculating eyes, seeing something she wasn't sure she wanted him to see. The worn clothes, the exhaustion in her face, the desperation she tried so hard to hide. You got somewhere you need to be. No, we're fine. You hungry? There's a diner 2 blocks over. Rosa's Best Burgers in Riverside. When Sarah hesitated, he added, On us. Least we can do while we wait for the uniforms. Lily tugged at Sarah's hand. Can we, Mama? Please. Sarah looked at the 6 men, at their dark suits and scarred faces, at the SUVs with planted explosives that could have killed them. She thought about the gray sedan speeding away, and whoever had sent that man to commit murder. She thought about her empty bank account and her daughter's 2 big shoes and the eviction notice in her purse. And somehow, impossibly, she heard herself say, Okay, just while we wait for the police. Hank's smile was genuine, warm in a way that didn't match his intimidating exterior. Good. Rosa's makes a mean chocolate milkshake. Your girl like chocolate? Lily's eyes went wide. I love chocolate. As they walked toward the vehicles, the men discussing which cars could safely be driven, Lily chattering excitedly about the milkshake, and Sarah trying to process what had just happened. She couldn't shake the feeling that her life had just taken a sharp turn. Whether that turn led somewhere better or somewhere more dangerous, she had no idea. But as Hank lifted Lily onto his shoulders so she could see the sunset over the San Bernardino Mountains, making her giggle with delight, Sarah felt something she hadn't felt in months. Not quite hope, not yet, but maybe the beginning of it. Rosa's diner occupied a corner lot on Magnolia Avenue, its retro neon sign buzzing softly in the early evening. The interior hadn't changed since 1987 based on the faded photographs on the walls, red vinyl booths, black and white checkered floor, a jukebox that probably still played if you fed it quarters. Sarah slid into a booth, keeping Lily close beside her, as the 6 men from the family filled the surrounding tables. The other diners, a young couple, an elderly man nursing coffee at the counter, a family with 2 teenagers, went quiet when the Caruso men entered. Eyes tracked them warily. The mother of the teenagers pulled her kids closer. Sarah understood the reaction. She'd felt it herself an hour ago. Fear of the unknown, fear of the reputation. But now, watching Hank carefully adjust his jacket before sitting down, watching Deacon hold the door for an older woman entering behind them, watching another man, this one called Razor based on the name he'd mentioned, pull out a chair for his own mother, who'd apparently met them there, Sarah saw something different, something more complex. Miss Lily, a voice boomed. Sarah looked up to find a woman in her 60s, broad-shouldered and vibrant, with steel gray hair pulled into a bun and laugh lines crinkling around dark eyes. "Any friend of the family is a friend of mine. I'm Rosa. This is my place. What can I get you, honey?" Lily glanced at Sarah for permission, then said shyly, "A chocolate milkshake. Coming right up. And for you, Mama, just coffee, please." Black. Rosa's sharp eyes assessed Sarah in a glance. The worn shoes, the cheap purse, the tension in her shoulders. "You need more than coffee. When's the last time you ate?" "I'm fine, really." "2 burgers," Rosa announced, brooking no argument. "Fries, milkshake for the little one, coffee for you, and I'm bringing pie after whether you want it or not." She turned to Hank. "You boys staying out of trouble?" "Trying to," Hank grumbled. "Someone's making that difficult." Rosa's expression darkened. "I heard explosives." She shook her head. "World's going crazy. You're lucky this little angel was paying attention." 2 Riverside Police Department patrol cars pulled into the parking lot, their lights off, but their presence unmistakable. 2 officers entered, one older in his 50s with graying temples and the weathered look of a career cop, and his younger partner, maybe late 20s, with nervous energy and eyes that kept darting to the men. "Hank," the older officer said, his tone neutral but not unfriendly. "Got a call about vandalism." "Attempted murder, Detective Morrison," Hank corrected. "Someone planted explosives under 3 of our vehicles while we were parked at Fairmount Park. This young lady and her daughter witnessed the suspect." Morrison's attention shifted to Sarah. She felt herself being evaluated, categorized, judged in the way cops did, victim, witness, or perpetrator. "Ma'am, I'm Detective Morrison. This is Officer Chen. Can you walk me through what you saw?" Sarah recounted the story again, more slowly this time, with Chen taking notes. Lily sipped her milkshake, already delivered by Rosa with record speed, and watched the proceedings with wide eyes. Morrison asked clarifying questions, approximate time, physical description, the gray Altima's direction of travel, whether she'd seen the suspect's face clearly enough for a composite sketch. "I don't think so," Sarah admitted. "He was too far away and he kept his head down, but I'd recognize his build, his movement, the way he kept checking over his shoulder." Morrison nodded, flipping his notepad closed. "We'll need an official statement downtown, but this is good for now." He turned to Hank. "Any idea who'd want to take a run at you boys?" Hank's expression went carefully blank. "We've got our suspicions. This connected to the Moretti family?" "Could be." Morrison sighed. "Hank, I need you to work with us here." "If there's a war brewing, there's no war," Deacon interjected smoothly. "Someone's testing boundaries, making a statement. We'll handle it internally. That's what I'm afraid of." Morrison rubbed his temples. "Look, I get it. You've got your code. But explosives aren't a statement. That's attempted murder, multiple counts. If someone's escalating, we'll keep it contained," Hank said firmly. "We don't want civilians getting hurt any more than you do." Morrison didn't look convinced, but he also looked tired. The kind of tired that came from years of trying to manage violence in a city where organized crime dynamics shifted like sand. "Keep me posted. And for God's sake, check your vehicles before you drive them. All of them, not just the 3 that got hit." After the police left, Rosa arrived with a tray laden with food. The burgers were massive, juicy, the kind of meal Sarah hadn't eaten in months because it seemed wasteful to spend money on anything beyond basic sustenance. Lily's eyes went wide. "Can I really eat all this?" she whispered. "Every bite," Rosa said warmly. "Growing girl needs her strength." Sarah cut Lily's burger into manageable pieces, her own stomach growling despite her earlier claims of not being hungry. The first bite was heaven. Perfectly seasoned beef, melted cheese, crisp lettuce. She hadn't realized how much she'd been living on ramen and dollar store sandwiches until real food hit her system. Hank had moved to a different booth to make phone calls, his voice low and urgent. The other men ate in relative silence, the easy camaraderie from earlier replaced by something harder, more focused. They were planning, strategizing. Deacon slid into Sarah's booth across from her and Lily. He set a chocolate chip cookie on Lily's plate. "From Rosa's personal stash, don't tell the other customers." Lily beamed. "Thank you. You're welcome, little hero." Deacon's attention shifted to Sarah. "I need to ask you something, and I want you to be straight with me. Is there any reason someone would want to hurt you or your daughter?" Sarah's hand froze halfway to her coffee cup. What? No. Why would you? Because you witnessed a crime, a serious crime against people with enemies. Those enemies might decide you're a liability. The food in Sarah's stomach turned to lead. She hadn't thought, hadn't considered. Are you saying we're in danger? I'm saying it's a possibility we need to take seriously. Deacon's voice was gentle, but firm. The guy who planted the explosives saw the area. He might not have registered you in the moment, but if he's thorough, if he goes back and thinks about angles and witnesses, you need to be careful. I don't. We don't have anywhere to go. The words came out before Sarah could stop them. She glanced at Lily, who was focused on her cookie, then lowered her voice. We're about to be evicted. I don't have family here. No one who could take us in. Deacon's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Understanding maybe, or pity. Sarah hated pity. What about the girl's father? Gone. 18 months. No contact. Deacon was quiet for a moment, processing. Then he said, "Give me a second," and left the booth, heading to where Hank was finishing his phone call. Sarah watched them talk, their heads bent close, occasionally glancing her way, her chest tightened with a familiar anxiety, the vulnerability of being at someone else's mercy, of needing help she couldn't repay. She'd spent her whole life trying to be self-sufficient, to never depend on anyone after watching her mother's parade of disappointing boyfriends drain her bank account and her spirit. Lily tugged at her sleeve. "Mama, are the bad men coming after us?" Sarah's heart cracked. She pulled her daughter close, kissing the top of her head. "No, baby. No one's going to hurt you. I promise." It was a promise she had no idea if she could keep. Hank and Deacon returned together. Hank's massive frame barely fit in the booth as he sat beside Deacon, making the table creak under his weight. "Sarah," he began, his voice surprisingly gentle for such a large man. "We've got a situation and we need to talk about it straight." "Okay," she said wearily. "You saved our lives today. That's not hyperbole. If we'd started those cars without checking, at least one of us would be dead right now. Maybe more. That creates a debt in our world. A big debt. You don't owe me anything." "I just did what anyone but anyone didn't," Hank interrupted. "You did, and now you're potentially exposed because of it. That's on us." Deacon leaned forward. "The family's got resources, safe houses, people who can keep an eye out. Until we figure out who's behind this and neutralize the threat, we can make sure you and Lily are protected." Sarah shook her head immediately. "I can't accept that. I don't. We barely know you. You know we're people whose lives you saved," Hank said simply, "and who aren't going to let anything happen to you because of it. I can't pay you back. I can barely." Sarah's voice cracked slightly. She took a breath. "I can barely keep a roof over our heads." "Not asking you to pay," Hank said. "This isn't a transaction, it's the right thing to do." Sarah looked at these men, these members of an organized crime family with a fearsome reputation, and saw something she hadn't expected to see. Genuine concern. A code of honor that existed outside normal society but was no less real for it. "I need to think about it," she said finally. "Fair enough." Deacon slid a business card across the table. "My number. Call day or night if anything seems off. If anyone's watching you, if you see the guy from the park again, anything." Sarah took the card, her fingers trembling slightly. Rosa appeared with slices of apple pie, setting them down with her usual efficiency. "Everything okay here?" "Getting there," Hank said. He looked at Lily, who was methodically eating her cookie one chocolate chip at a time. "Hey, Lily, you ever been in a car with a police escort?" Lily's eyes went wide. "No." "Well, tonight you're getting one. We're having a couple of our people follow you home. Make sure you get there safe. They'll park outside for a while, just to be sure." "Like bodyguards?" Lily asked, delighted. "Exactly like bodyguards." Sarah wanted to protest, but the practical part of her brain, the part that had kept her and Lily alive through 18 months of financial disaster, recognized the wisdom in it. If there was even a small chance they were in danger. "Okay," she said quietly. "Just for tonight." "Just for tonight," Hank agreed, though his eyes suggested he was thinking longer term. They finished their meal in a strange, companionable silence. Lily, exhausted from the day's excitement and a full stomach, leaned against Sarah's side. The diner was fuller now, the dinner rush in full swing, and the other patrons had relaxed around the men's presence. One of the teenagers even approached Razor to ask about his car, and Razor patiently answered questions about engines and horsepower. When they finally left, the sun had fully set, leaving Riverside painted in shades of sodium lamp orange and neon blue. Two men, the younger ones Hank had called Marcus and Chase, followed Sarah's Honda Civic in their black Escalade, the vehicle staying close behind her like an honor guard. Sarah drove carefully, hyper-aware of their presence, of Lily dozing in the back seat, of the business card in her pocket burning like a brand. She lived in a complex on the edge of Riverside, the kind of place where the paint peeled and the air conditioners rattled, and the police came frequently for domestic disputes. The rent was $1,200 a month, which might as well have been $12,000 for all her ability to pay it. Marcus and Chase parked their Escalade in visitor spots visible from Sarah's ground floor unit. One of them gave her a nod. "We've got you." And Sarah felt something loosen in her chest. Not safety exactly, but the knowledge that for one night at least she wasn't alone. Inside the cramped apartment, Sarah helped Lily into her pajamas and tucked her into the twin bed they shared. "Mama," Lily whispered. "Are we going to be okay?" Sarah brushed curls away from her daughter's forehead. "Yes, baby. We're going to be okay. I like Hank and Rosa and the milkshake." "Me too. Are they our friends now?" Sarah paused. Were they? Could a Mafia family and a struggling single mother really form any kind of lasting connection? It seemed impossible, ridiculous even. But then she thought of Hank crouching down to Lily's level, of Deacon's genuine concern, of Rosa's non-nonsense kindness. She thought of men who could have driven away, who could have let someone else deal with the problem, but who instead had made sure she and Lily were fed and safe. "Maybe," Sarah said softly. "Maybe they are." Lily smiled and closed her eyes. Within minutes, her breathing evened into sleep. Sarah moved to the window, peering through the cheap blinds. The two men were still there, one leaning against the Escalade, the other sitting on a curb, guarding them, protecting them. She pulled out Deacon's business card, studied the number. Tomorrow she'd have to make decisions. Tomorrow she'd have to face reality, the eviction, the job hunt, the impossible math of survival. But tonight, for the first time in longer than she could remember, Sarah Mitchell felt like someone had her back. 3 days passed with unnatural calm. Sarah went to her job interview at a warehouse. Didn't get it. She checked in with her landlord, got a lecture about responsibility and a reminder that eviction proceedings would begin in 11 days. She made Lily peanut butter sandwiches and read her library books and tried to pretend everything was normal. Marcus and Chase rotated shifts outside her apartment. Sometimes it was them, sometimes different men. A grizzled man named Ace, a surprisingly young guy called T-Bone, who couldn't have been more than 25. They never knocked, never intruded, just maintained their presence. Other residents of the complex noticed. Mrs. Chen from upstairs asked if Sarah was in trouble. A teenager 2 doors down took photos on his phone. On the 4th day, Deacon showed up at 10:00 a.m. looking serious. "We need to talk," he said when Sarah opened the door. "Can I come in?" Sarah glanced back at Lily, who was coloring at the kitchen table. "Sure." Deacon entered the small apartment, his eyes automatically scanning. Exits, windows, vulnerabilities. The apartment told its own story. Sparse furniture, mostly second-hand. Lily's toys in a plastic bin. A small TV propped on a milk crate. Clean, organized, but unmistakably the home of someone barely scraping by. "Coffee," Sarah offered, though she wasn't sure she had enough left for a guest. "I'm good." Deacon sat on the worn couch, his expression troubled. "We identified the guy from the park named Derek Russo, low-level enforcer for the Moretti family." Sarah sat across from him. "Is that bad?" "It's complicated. The Morettis are a rival family, but we've had a truce for 3 years. What happened at the park breaks that truce. Problem is, Derek's not smart enough to do something like that on his own initiative. Someone ordered the hit, and we tracked Derek down yesterday, had a conversation." Deacon's tone made clear what kind of conversation it had been. He claims he was hired by someone outside both families. Wouldn't give up a name, but he described the guy. Mid-40s, expensive suit, talked like money. Derek thought maybe lawyer or businessman. Guy paid $5,000 cash to plant the explosives. Sarah's stomach knotted. Why would a businessman want to hurt you? That's the million-dollar question. Deacon leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Here's the thing, Sarah. Derek saw you. Not clearly, but he remembers there was a woman and a kid in the park. He mentioned it to whoever hired him before we got to him. The blood drained from Sarah's face. Oh, God. Hey. Deacon's voice was firm but reassuring. We're not letting anything happen to you, but you need to understand the situation. Someone with resources, someone outside the usual channels is making moves and they know there was a witness. What do I do short term? You let us keep watching your place. You vary your routines. Don't go anywhere alone. Keep your eyes open. Long term, he paused. That eviction notice on your fridge. 11 days left. Sarah flushed. She'd thought the notice was hidden. I'll figure something out. The family's got a safe house. 3-bedroom place in a quiet neighborhood, better area than this. It's empty right now. You and Lily could stay there. No rent until this situation's resolved. I can't. Sarah. Deacon's tone stopped her protest. I get it. You're independent. You don't want charity, but this isn't charity. It's protection. And it's not just about you. It's about Lily. The mention of her daughter's name hit home. Sarah looked over at Lily, happily coloring a picture of what might have been a horse or possibly a dog. Innocent, unaware of the danger circling them. For how long? Sarah asked quietly. However long it takes. And what do you want in return? Deacon met her eyes steadily. Nothing. We protect our own. You became our own the minute your daughter saved our lives. Sarah wanted to argue, wanted to maintain the wall of self-sufficiency she'd built so carefully. But the wall was already crumbling. The eviction, the empty job prospects, the threat looming over them. Can I think about it, she asked. Sure, but don't think too long. After Deacon left, Sarah tried to focus on the mundane tasks of living. Laundry, dishes, searching job boards online. But her mind kept circling back to the conversation. A businessman in an expensive suit, $5,000 cash. The explosives that could have killed 6 men. Her phone rang at 2 p.m. Unknown number. Hello? Silence on the other end. No, not quite silence. Breathing. Someone listening. Hello? Sarah repeated, her voice shaking. The line went dead. She immediately called Deacon. He answered on the first ring. What's wrong? I just got a call. Unknown number. Someone listened but didn't speak. Could be a wrong number, could be a scam, or someone testing if you're home. A pause. I'm sending Hank over. Pack a bag for you and Lily. Essential stuff only. I didn't say I was accepting. Sarah. Someone just called to see if you'd answer. That's not a coincidence. Pack now. 20 minutes later, Sarah had thrown clothes, toiletries, and Lily's favorite toys into 2 duffel bags. Lily was confused but excited about the adventure. Hank arrived with another man, the older man called Ace, in a black Suburban. We're going to take a little drive, Hank explained to Lily, his tone gentle. See a new house. It's got a big backyard. You like backyards? Is there a swing? Lily asked hopefully. We can probably make that happen. The safe house was in a neighborhood called Canyon Crest near UC Riverside. Tree-lined streets, well-maintained homes, the kind of area Sarah had driven through but never imagined living in. The house itself was modest but nice. Light blue siding, white trim, a lawn that actually looked green. Inside it was fully furnished, not fancy but comfortable. Real furniture, not secondhand items on their last legs. The kitchen had actual counter space. One of the bedrooms had a double bed with a window overlooking the backyard. This is really okay? Sarah asked, still half expecting there to be a catch. Family owns it outright, Ace explained. He was around 60 with a gray beard and kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled. Use it for members who need a place to lay low or for visiting family, or he shrugged good people who need help. Lily had already discovered the backyard larger than promised with an old oak tree and unkempt flower beds. Mama, can we plant flowers? We'll see, baby. Hank set their bags down in the main bedroom. You'll have company tonight. Razor's taking first watch. He'll be in the guest room. After that, we'll rotate. Someone here 24/7 until the threat's neutralized. I feel like I'm in witness protection, Sarah said, trying for humor, but landing somewhere near hysteria. Basically, you are, Hank said matter-of-factly. Difference is we actually give a damn about keeping you alive. That evening, Rosa arrived with groceries. Real groceries. Not the bare minimum items Sarah usually bought. Fresh vegetables, good meat, milk that wasn't on sale because it was about to expire. "You need to eat," Rosa declared, taking over the kitchen with efficient movements. "Growing girl needs nutrition, and you look like you haven't had a proper meal in months." "I can't pay you back for all this," Sarah said quietly. Rosa turned from the stove where she was heating up a casserole she'd brought. "Did I ask you to?" "No, but then stop arguing. You're under our protection now. That means you're family. Family takes care of family. I'm not family. I'm just someone who happened to be in the wrong place." "Wrong place?" Rosa's eyebrows shot up. "Child, you were in exactly the right place. You saved 6 lives. You think that's nothing? You think we forget that kind of thing? I just don't understand why you're all being so good to me," Rosa finished. "Because that's who we are. World sees the suits and the reputation and thinks we're monsters. Maybe some of us were once, but a family is only as strong as its code. And our code says you protect innocent people, you honor your debts, and you take care of your own. You're our own now. Simple as that." Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. She'd been alone for so long, struggling and failing, and trying to be strong for Lily while everything fell apart. The idea that someone, let alone multiple someones, actually cared about their well-being was almost harder to process than the danger. "Thank you," she whispered. Rosa pulled her into a hug, and Sarah let herself be held by this fierce, kind woman who smelled of cooking spices and floral perfume. "You're going to be okay," Rosa murmured. "All of this, it's going to work out." That night, after dinner and after tucking Lily into the unfamiliar but comfortable bed, Sarah stood at the bedroom window, looking out at the quiet street. Razor's black Mercedes was parked in the driveway. Inside, she could hear him moving around the house, checking locks, being vigilant. Her phone buzzed. A text from Deacon. "How's the house?" "Better than anything I could afford," she typed back. "Still feels like too much." "Get used to it," came the reply. "You're stuck with us now." Sarah smiled despite everything. Stuck with a Mafia family. A month ago, the idea would have terrified her. Now somehow it felt like the safest thing in her world. She was about to put the phone down when another text came through. "Unknown number. We know where you are." Sarah's blood turned to ice. Her hands shook as she screenshotted the message and forwarded it to Deacon. His response was immediate. "On my way. Lock the bedroom door. Stay with Lily." Within 5 minutes, she heard multiple vehicles pull up outside. Voices in the living room. Razor, Hank, Deacon, others. Sarah sat on the bed, Lily sleeping peacefully beside her, and listened to the sounds of men preparing for violence. There was a soft knock on the bedroom door. "Sarah, it's Deacon. Can I come in?" She unlocked the door. Deacon entered, his expression grim. "We're sweeping the house and the perimeter. Hank's calling in more people. You're going to have 4 guards tonight rotating positions." "How did they find us?" "Working on that. Could be they followed us from your old place. Could be they've got access to family information somehow." He paused. "Could be a lot of things, but they're not getting to you." "What if they do?" Deacon's eyes were hard. "Then they'll learn why you don't threaten people under Caruso family protection." The rest of the night passed in tense vigilance. Sarah didn't sleep, just held Lily and listened to the sounds of vehicles coming and going, of men talking in low voices, of a neighborhood that had been peaceful, transformed into a fortress. Around 3 a.m., there was a commotion outside, shouting. Sarah's heart hammered, then silence. 10 minutes later, Hank knocked on the door. Someone tried to scope the place. He said, "Young kid, probably hired for recon. We had words. He won't be coming back. Did you?" "We didn't kill him, if that's what you're asking. Scared him straight. Sent him running with a message for whoever hired him. The girl and her mother are off limits. Anyone tries to touch them, they're declaring war on the whole family." Sarah didn't know whether to be relieved or more frightened. "Will that stop them?" "Depends how crazy they are." Hank's expression softened slightly. "Try to get some sleep. You're safe here." But as Sarah lay in the darkness, holding Lily close and listening to the guards outside, she wondered if anyone was truly safe anymore. She'd saved 6 lives 4 days ago. Now she was wondering if that heroic moment would end up costing her and her daughter everything. Morning came too bright, too normal for a night that had ended in threats and fear. Lily woke up energized, oblivious to the danger that had circled their new sanctuary. She ate the pancakes Rosa brought over at 8 a.m. Apparently the woman didn't sleep and begged to play in the backyard. "Stay where we can see you," Sarah instructed, positioning herself at the kitchen window where she had clear sightlines. Marcus was outside, visible near the oak tree, pretending to check his phone but actually maintaining perimeter watch. The text from last night haunted her. "We know where you are." Who were they? The businessman Derek Russo had described. The Moretti family getting revenge for Derek's conversation with the Caruso family. Some third party she couldn't even identify. Deacon arrived at 9:30 with Hank, and a man Sarah hadn't met before. Older, maybe late 50s, with salt and pepper hair pulled into a ponytail and eyes that had seen too much. "This is Don Salvatore," Deacon introduced. "Head of the family. He wanted to meet you." Don Salvatore's handshake was firm, but not aggressive. "The little hero's mama," he said with a slight smile. "Heard a lot about you." "I'm not a hero. Lily is the one who spoke up. Bravery comes in different forms. Speaking up is one. Standing your ground when things get real is another." Don Salvatore settled into a kitchen chair, moving with the careful precision of someone with old injuries. "We've got a situation and I need to lay it out straight. You good with straight talk?" "Yes." Smart businessman named Victor Mendoza hired Derek Russo to plant those explosives. "We've confirmed this through multiple sources. Mendoza owns a development company, Riverside Premium Properties, does commercial real estate, strip malls, housing developments. Clean on the surface, but he's got his fingers in dirty pies." "Why does he want to hurt you?" Sarah asked. "Because we wouldn't sell him our restaurant." Hank's voice was flat, angry. "Place has been in the family for 30 years. Has history. He offered us money. We said no. He offered more money. We said hell no. Guess he decided to solve the problem another way. He wanted to kill you over a property deal. Not kill, intimidate." Don Salvatore corrected. "Explosives are a statement. See how vulnerable you are. Sell me the building." Problem is, he didn't count on a witness. And he especially didn't count on that witness being someone we'd protect. Deacon pulled out his phone, showing Sarah a photo. Middle-aged man, expensive suit, carefully groomed beard. "This is Mendoza. Ever seen him before?" Sarah studied the image. "Nothing familiar." "No. Figured. He's not the type to do his own dirty work." Deacon pocketed the phone. "Here's our problem. Mendoza knows you're a witness. He's probably figured out by now that you're under our protection. That makes you a liability he needs to eliminate, and a pressure point he can use against us." "Leverage," Sarah said softly, understanding dawning. "He hurts me or Lily. You'll be forced to either retaliate, which brings police attention, or back down and sell him what he wants." "Smart," Don Salvatore acknowledged. "That's exactly his play, which means we need to flip the game." "How?" The three men exchanged glances. Finally, Don Salvatore said, "We go public. You file a police report about the text messages, the call, everything. We make noise about Mendoza's connection to the sabotage. We bring media attention. Suddenly he can't touch you without putting a spotlight on himself." "The police won't do anything," Sarah protested. "One anonymous text. They'll say it's not enough." "Maybe. But combined with Derek Russo's statement, which Detective Morrison will have by this afternoon, and our testimony about Mendoza's attempts to buy our property, starts looking like a pattern. Starts looking like a story the local news might care about." Sarah felt the walls closing in. "You want me to put myself and Lily in the middle of a public fight between a mafia family and a businessman?" "We want you to help us protect you," Hank said gently. "Right now, you're a secret. Secrets are easy to make disappear. Public figures are harder to touch. Unless Mendoza decides it's worth the risk, he won't." Don Salvatore's voice carried absolute certainty. "Men like Mendoza operate in shadows. They pay people like Derek to do their dirty work because they can't risk exposure. The minute we shine light on him, he'll back off. Find another angle, another property. And if you're wrong," no one answered immediately. Then Deacon said quietly, "Then we make sure he regrets ever hearing your name." The implicit threat should have frightened Sarah. Instead, she felt a strange sense of security. These men, organized criminals by society's definition, were willing to go to war for her, for Lily, because of a code that said debts were paid and protection was absolute. "Okay," Sarah said. "What do I need to do?" By noon, they were at the Riverside Police Department. Detective Morrison listened to Sarah's account with increasing concern, took photos of the text messages, and filed an official report. When Sarah mentioned Victor Mendoza by name, information provided by the family, Morrison's expression shifted. "Big name to throw around," he said carefully. "Is it true?" Sarah asked. "Did Derek Russo give a statement implicating Mendoza?" Morrison hesitated, then nodded. "He did. Mendoza's lawyers got involved immediately. Claims Russo is lying to reduce his own charges without corroboration." "I'm corroborating," Sarah said firmly. "I'm a witness to the sabotage Russo committed, and I'm now a target because of it." "If Mendoza's connected, it's hard to prove," Morrison interrupted. "Russo says Mendoza hired him, but it was cash. No paper trail, no recordings, just his word." "Sometimes word is all you've got," Hank rumbled from behind Sarah. He'd insisted on accompanying her inside, though his presence clearly made Morrison uncomfortable. "The DA is looking into it," Morrison said. "But I'll be straight with you, Miss Mitchell. Prosecuting someone like Mendoza is difficult. He's got resources, lawyers, connections. Even if we build a case, it'll take months, maybe years. So what am I supposed to do in the meantime? Hide? Stay vigilant? Vary your routine? We'll increase patrols in your area." Morrison's tone suggested he knew how inadequate that sounded. Outside the station, Sarah felt the frustration rising. That's it. They file a report and hope Mendoza gets bored. "That's the legal system," Deacon said. "It's why most people don't trust it." "So what now?" "Now we use the media." Deacon nodded toward a woman approaching them. 30s, professional attire with a camera crew in tow. "Sarah Mitchell, meet Jessica Torres. She's a reporter with KABC News. Covers crime and local corruption." Jessica extended a hand, her smile sympathetic. "Miss Mitchell, I'd like to hear your story, specifically about witnessing a crime and subsequently being threatened. I understand a local businessman may be involved." Sarah looked at Deacon, who nodded encouragement. This was it. The moment she stopped being invisible and became a story, a public figure, someone who couldn't quietly disappear. "Yes," Sarah said. "I'd like to tell you what happened." The interview took place in a park different from Fairmont but similar layout. Jessica's questions were pointed, but fair. She asked about the day of the sabotage, about Lily's warning to the men, about the subsequent threats. She asked about Victor Mendoza without naming him directly, using phrases like a prominent local developer and business interests in the area. "Are you afraid?" Jessica asked. Sarah looked directly into the camera. "I'm terrified, but I'm also a mother, and I taught my daughter to tell the truth about bad things. I can't tell her that and then hide when it's my turn to speak up. What do you want people to know? That witnesses shouldn't be punished for doing the right thing. That people with money and power shouldn't be able to threaten regular citizens without consequences." And that Sarah paused, finding the words that sometimes protection comes from unexpected places. Sometimes the people society tells you to fear are the ones who actually keep you safe. It was a subtle endorsement of the Caruso family. Dangerous territory for most people. But Sarah meant it. These men had fed her daughter, housed them, guarded them through the night. They'd earned her loyalty. The segment aired that evening at 6 p.m. Sarah watched from the safe house living room, surrounded by family members. Rosa had brought dinner, lasagna, garlic bread, salad. Lily was asleep in the bedroom, exhausted from a day of playing outside under Marcus's watchful eye. Jessica Torres's voice narrated over footage of Fairmont Park. What started as a routine afternoon at this riverside park became a dangerous nexus of crime, courage, and questions about justice in our city. Sarah's face filled the screen. She looked tired, but determined. Strong even. When had she started looking strong? "We reached out to Victor Mendoza and Riverside Premium Properties for comment," Jessica continued. "They declined to be interviewed, but provided a statement denying any knowledge of Derek Russo or involvement in criminal activity." "Denying already," Don Salvatore muttered. That's good. Means we rattled him. Sarah's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her heart rate spiked. Stupid move, bitch. You'll regret going public. She showed the text to Deacon, who immediately started making calls. Within minutes, the guards outside had doubled. Hank was coordinating a sweep of the neighborhood. The fortress walls were strengthening. He's scared, Rosa said, surprising Sarah. The older woman had been quiet through the broadcast, but now her eyes were fierce. Men like Mendoza only threaten when they're losing control. This is good. Doesn't feel good, Sarah admitted, because you're not used to fighting back, but you are now, and you've got an army behind you. The texts kept coming through the evening, increasingly unhinged, promising violence using language that made Sarah's skin crawl. Deacon documented each one, forwarding them to Morrison. Building the case, he explained. Every threat is evidence. At 10 p.m., there was a knock at the front door. Everyone tensed. Hank answered with his hand near the weapon Sarah knew he carried. It was Detective Morrison, looking exhausted. Mendoza's been arrested, he said without preamble. Those text messages came from a burner phone we traced to his office building. Security footage shows him purchasing it 3 days ago. Combined with Russo's statement and your interview generating public pressure, DA moved fast. Sarah felt her knees go weak. He's actually arrested for real. Charged with intimidation of a witness, conspiracy to commit assault with a deadly weapon, and a few other things. DA's throwing the book at him. Bail hearings tomorrow. His lawyers will fight it, but Morrison actually smiled. Your interview lit a fire. City council's getting calls. The mayor's office is involved. Mendoza's going to have a hard time making this disappear. After Morrison left, the safe house erupted in subdued celebration. Not wild. Lily was sleeping, but relief was palpable. Rosa hugged Sarah fiercely. Don Salvatore clapped Hank on the back. Deacon raised a beer in silent toast. Sarah sat on the couch processing. It wasn't over. Mendoza could make bail, could hire better lawyers, could find other ways to threaten her. But for now, right now, she'd won a round. She'd spoken truth publicly and survived. You did good, Hank said, settling beside her. His massive frame made the couch springs creak. Took guts to go on camera. I was shaking the entire time. Courage isn't not being scared. It's being scared and doing it anyway. He gestured to the house around them. You know you can stay here as long as you need, right? Not just until Mendoza's dealt with. You need time to find work, save money, get stable. This place is yours. I can't keep taking from you all, Sarah protested. Hank's voice was gentle but firm. You gave us our lives. We're giving you a house and some peace of mind. That's not even close to even. Stop trying to balance a scale that doesn't need balancing. Sarah felt tears threaten. I don't know how to thank you. Don't need thanks. Just need you to accept that you're part of something now. Family doesn't always look like the postcards. Sometimes it looks like a bunch of made men and a single mom and a 5-year-old hero. But it's family all the same. That night, Sarah slept deeply for the first time in days. The guards were still outside. The threat wasn't completely gone, but something fundamental had shifted. She wasn't alone anymore. She wasn't fighting invisible enemies without allies. She was protected. She was seen. She was against all odds home. Victor Mendoza made bail after 3 days, but the damage was done. The news coverage had sparked a broader investigation into Riverside Premium Properties. Turns out the attempted sabotage of the Caruso family wasn't his first venture into criminal intimidation, just the first time he'd gotten caught. The DA's office found 2 other property owners who came forward with stories of threats and suspicious incidents after refusing Mendoza's buyout offers. Sarah followed the news obsessively for the first week, jumping at shadows, expecting retaliation. But as days turned into weeks and Mendoza's legal troubles compounded, the immediate threat faded. His lawyers were too busy fighting the multiple charges to orchestrate revenge, and the spotlight was too bright. Anything that happened to Sarah now would point directly back to him. He's done, Don Salvatore announced at a family meeting Sarah was invited to observe. DA's offering him a plea deal. 18 months, surrender his business licenses, pay restitution. He's going to take it rather than risk trial. So it's over? Sarah asked. It's over. The relief should have been absolute. Instead, Sarah felt oddly hollow. Over meant she could leave the safe house, could go back to her normal life, except she didn't have a normal life to go back to. Her apartment had been rented to someone else. Her job prospects were still non-existent. Her bank account was still empty. "What are you going to do?" Rosa asked one afternoon. They were in the safe house kitchen, Rosa teaching Sarah how to make her famous red sauce from scratch. Lily was in the backyard with Marcus, who'd proven surprisingly good with children, and now came by regularly just to play with her. "I don't know," Sarah admitted. "Look for another apartment, I guess, another job. Start over again. Or what? Or you could stay here. Make it permanent." Rosa chopped garlic with practiced efficiency. The family already approved it. "House is yours if you want it. No rent, no strings. I can't just live here for free." "Who said free?" Rosa's eyes twinkled. "You think this house maintains itself? Lawn needs mowing. Gutters need cleaning. Inside could use a woman's touch. You've seen how men live. Plus, we're always needing help with family events, fundraisers, community outreach, the Christmas toy drive. You could coordinate that stuff, make it official. You're offering me a job, I'm offering you a place, a purpose, a family." Rosa set down her knife and turned to face Sarah fully. "Look, I know it's unconventional. I know people will talk. Single mom living in a Mafia safe house. What does that mean? But who cares what people think? You and Lily are safe here, happy here. Why walk away from that because society says it's weird?" Sarah looked out the window at Lily, who was giggling as Marcus pushed her on the swing he'd installed last week. Her daughter had bloomed in the past month. More confident, more joyful, sleeping through the night without nightmares. The constant stress Sarah had carried like a backpack had eased. They'd both changed. "I don't want to be a burden," Sarah said quietly. "Burden?" Rosa laughed. "Child, you've brought life to this place. The guys actually clean up after themselves now because they know you're here. Hank stops by twice a week just to have coffee and chat. Deacon's been teaching Lily to play chess. You're not a burden. You're the heart we didn't know we needed." That evening, Sarah made a decision. She called a family meeting, her first time formally addressing the group. 20 men in suits plus Rosa gathered at the restaurant. Sarah stood at the front, Lily holding her hand. "I want to thank you," Sarah began, her voice steadier than she expected. "A month ago, I was about to be evicted. I had no support system, no safety net, no idea how I was going to protect my daughter. Then Lily did something brave, and you all responded with more kindness than I'd experienced in years." She looked around the room, meeting eyes. Hank's warm gaze. Deacon's slight nod of encouragement. Don Salvatore's weathered face showing rare emotion. Marcus waving at Lily, who waved back enthusiastically. "I've been offered the safe house permanently to stay to help coordinate family events to be part of this community, and I want to say yes. But I need to truly know that you're all okay with that. That I'm not imposing or taking advantage or yes." Hank interrupted, his voice booming. "Next question." Laughter rippled through the room. Don Salvatore stood, silencing the chuckles. "Sarah, let me be clear. You saved 6 lives. You faced down threats with courage. You went on TV and put yourself at risk to shine light on corruption. You're exactly the kind of person this family respects. And that little girl of yours," he pointed to Lily, "she's got more guts than half the guys we've trained. Your family. Votes unanimous. Stay as long as you want. Forever if that's your choice." Applause filled the restaurant. Lily beamed, not fully understanding but feeding off the positive energy. Sarah felt tears slip down her cheeks. Happy tears, relieved tears, grateful tears. "Okay," she said, voice thick. "Okay, we'll stay." The transformation happened gradually. Sarah painted the safe house's kitchen a warm yellow. Rosa helped her shop at thrift stores for decorations that made it feel less like a way station and more like a home. Lily started kindergarten at a nearby school, a good school in a safe neighborhood, the kind Sarah had never imagined being able to afford. Marcus volunteered to be on the emergency contact list, showing up to parent-teacher conferences with his suit proudly worn and his demeanor perfectly polite. Sarah took over coordination of the family's community outreach. She discovered the Caruso family did far more charity work than the public realized. Toy drives, fundraisers for veterans, Thanksgiving dinners for homeless families. She had a knack for organization, for PR, for softening the family's image without compromising its identity. Under her guidance, the Riverside Territory's reputation began to shift. Still respected, still feared by those who crossed them, but also known as people who protected their community. 3 months after moving into the safe house permanently, Sarah stood in the backyard, watching Lily play. The flower beds she'd planted were blooming: roses, lavender, cheerful sunflowers. The oak tree had a proper treehouse now, built by Ace and T-Bone over 2 weekends with Lily as their assistant supervisor. "Looks good," Deacon said, joining her. He'd become a regular presence, stopping by most evenings to check on them. Sarah suspected it was more than protective duty. There was something in the way he looked at her, something careful and hopeful. "It does," Sarah agreed. "You seem happy." "I am." "That's weird, right? I should probably be more worried about what people think about the future about being happy." Deacon's smile was gentle. "Sarah, you've earned this. You've earned peace. It's just so different from what I imagined my life would look like." Better or worse, Sarah considered. A year ago, she'd been married to a man who abandoned her, drowning in debt, terrified and alone. Now she lived in a house she didn't have to pay for, surrounded by people who'd die to protect her daughter with purpose and community, and something that felt remarkably like belonging. "Better," she said firmly. "Definitely better." "Good." Deacon hesitated, then said, "I know this might be complicated and you can absolutely say no, but would you want to have dinner sometime? Just the two of us? I mean, like a date." Sarah's heart skipped. She'd noticed Deacon's attention, had found herself looking forward to his visits, had caught herself paying extra attention to her appearance on days she knew he'd stop by, but she'd assumed. "You sure?" she asked. "I come with a lot of baggage. A kid, connections to the family, my own trauma." "Sarah." Deacon took her hand, his touch warm and steady. "I'm not scared of baggage. And Lily's great. This whole situation is great. I like you. Have for a while. Wanted to respect boundaries. Didn't want you to feel pressured. But if there's a chance, yes," Sarah said, surprising herself with the quickness of the answer. "Yes, I'd like that." His smile transformed his face, made him look younger, softer. Yeah. That Saturday, Rosa insisted on watching Lily while Sarah and Deacon went to dinner at a small Italian restaurant downtown. They talked for 3 hours about his history with the family, about her dreams before her marriage fell apart, about the strange twist of fate that had brought them together. It felt natural, easy, like talking to someone she'd known for years rather than months. When he walked her to the door at the end of the night, he asked, "Can I kiss you?" Sarah answered by rising on her toes and meeting him halfway. The kiss was gentle, searching, full of possibility. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. "I should go inside before Lily wonders where I am," she said. "Okay, same time next week." "Absolutely." Inside, Rosa was reading Lily a bedtime story. The older woman took one look at Sarah's face and grinned. "About damn time," she muttered. The months rolled into seasons. Fall gave way to winter. The family's Christmas toy drive was their biggest ever. With Sarah's organizational skills drawing in corporate sponsors and media coverage, Lily flourished, making friends at school, coming home with stories and artwork and reading skills that improved weekly. Sarah and Deacon's relationship deepened slowly, carefully. He was patient, understanding when her trauma made intimacy difficult, never pushing, always respectful. Lily adored him, especially after he taught her to ride a bicycle with training wheels in the driveway. One evening in February, Don Salvatore called a family meeting. Sarah attended regularly now, no longer a guest, but an accepted member of the community. Don Salvatore stood at the front, his expression serious. "Got news about Mendoza," he announced. "Sentencing hearing was today. Judge gave him 3 years, more than the plea deal, because evidence of witness intimidation kept piling up. He's going away." The room erupted in satisfaction. Justice finally served, but Don Salvatore wasn't finished. More than that, though, his properties are being liquidated to pay restitution and legal fees, including the parcel he wanted our restaurant for. He paused for effect. Family voted to buy it. We're expanding, building a proper community center, place for meetings, but also for neighborhood kids, for events, for everything Sarah's been organizing out of her living room. Sarah's jaw dropped. A community center. Your idea about making the family more visible, more involved in positive work. It's working. People see us different now. Still tough when we need to be, but also part of the community. We want to build on that. Need someone to run it, though. Someone with vision and organizational skills and the trust of both the family and the public. Don Salvatore's eyes found hers. Job's yours if you want it. Real salary benefits the works. Sarah couldn't speak. A year ago, she'd been desperately searching job boards for minimum wage positions. Now she was being offered a real job with a real purpose by people who respected her. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. The applause was deafening. Lily, sitting on Marcus's shoulders at the back of the room, cheered loudly despite not fully understanding what had happened. After the meeting, as people filtered out into the cool February night, Hank pulled Sarah aside. You know what you've done, right? Accepted a job, changed us. His expression was uncharacteristically vulnerable. This family's been my life for 30 years. Good family, but hard, all edges and loyalty and violence when necessary. Then you and Lily showed up, and suddenly there's softness, laughter, flowers in the backyard, and a 5-year-old bossing us around about our language. He smiled. You reminded us we could be more than what the world expected. That's a gift. Sarah hugged him. This massive man who terrified her initially and now felt like the uncle she'd never had. You all gave me a home when I had nothing. I think we're even. Not even close, but we can keep trying to balance it out. That night, tucking Lily into bed, Sarah asked, Are you happy here, baby? In this house with this life? Super happy, Lily said with the certainty only a 5-year-old could possess. I have you, and Rosa, and Hank, and Deacon, and Marcus, and all my friends at school. That's a lot of happy. It is, isn't it? Mama, are you happy? Sarah thought about the path that had led here. The pain of abandonment, the terror of poverty, the desperate afternoon in a park when she'd almost walked away from trouble that wasn't hers. She thought about her daughter's brave voice calling out a warning about well-dressed men with hearts bigger than anyone expected about finding family in the most unlikely place. Yeah, baby, she said softly, kissing Lily's forehead. I'm really, really happy. Outside, she could hear car engines starting as family members headed home. Deacon's Mercedes was still in the driveway. He'd waited to say goodnight. Through the window, she could see him checking his phone, patient as always. Sarah looked around the bedroom that had become theirs. Soft yellow walls, photos on the dresser, Lily's artwork taped up with pride. A real home, a real life, not the one she'd planned, but somehow better for its unexpectedness. She thought about the future, the community center to build, the relationship with Deacon to nurture, Lily's continued growth, the endless work of helping an organized crime family transform its image without losing its identity. It was daunting. It was exciting. It was exactly what she wanted. Sweet dreams, little hero, Sarah whispered to Lily, who was already drifting off. Then she went outside to find Deacon to plan their week, to continue building this strange, beautiful, perfectly imperfect life they'd all created together. The night was cool and clear, stars visible despite the city lights. Somewhere in the distance, a powerful engine roared. That sound that had once frightened her and now meant safety, meant family, meant home. Sarah smiled. A year ago, she'd been broken. Now she was whole. All because a 5-year-old girl had the courage to warn strangers about a bad man planting explosives. And strangers had the honor to protect her in return. Sometimes, Sarah reflected, family finds you in the most unexpected ways. And sometimes the most unexpected families are exactly what you need.